Hello everybody. It says I'm live streaming. 3 seconds. I'm live streaming again. It's the third weekend in a row that we've done this live stream. How crazy is that? We've already got someone commenting. Marty, hey, how you doing? You joined us last week, so I'm glad you came back. You obviously enjoyed last week. I'm glad you came back. Like we always do, we're going to give it a few minutes just to make sure that it's definitely all running. We'll check again that we're definitely live streaming, are we? 30 seconds, yes we are. We'll give it until 33 again, just to make sure. Ewan Ward, hey, you're back. You guys are getting quicker every week. You're doing very well. Hey Ewan, welcome to the chat again. I hope you're excited to discuss Rosa. I'm not going to say anything yet, but I have lots and lots of notes to talk about. Like I said just a minute ago, we'll wait until about 33 just to make sure that if anyone wants to come over from Twitter, they will do. Obviously, we've only just started live streaming. I like to give it a few minutes just to make sure that nobody misses out in case they want to head over and join the live stream with us. We've got Marty, we've got Ewan so far. How are you guys doing? I hope you had a good week. Dan's here as well. Hey James, how you doing? Hello Dan. Hope you had a good week as well. Yeah, we're just going to give it a few minutes. Just to wait. Marty, I enjoy watching you. Gonna stick around. Good, I'm glad you enjoy watching me, Marty. Feel free to comment, like I always say, feel free to comment throughout the video. I really enjoyed, especially last week, hearing you guys comment. You helped me out with some of the things, some of the words that I couldn't remember, so that was really useful last week. I really do like to get your opinions live in the chat straight after I've said my opinions, because it's interesting to hear what different people think. As I have done with all of the episodes of Series 11 so far, I have not even touched Twitter since the episode went out. I have no clue what the general consensus of the episode is. This is my raw initial opinion. I like to give it about 45 minutes after the episode's finished, just in case anyone's watching it slightly behind live, if that makes sense. If anyone just needs to catch the end of it before coming over to the live stream, I just like to give it a bit of extra time. So that's the reason that we start live streaming at 8:30. My mouth is already dry. Ewan. So while we wait, how are you, James? I'm good. I'm good, thanks. Busy week with university stuff, but what I'm really liking at the minute is that I can spend this half an hour, 45 minutes-ish live stream on a Sunday night. In fact, I think it was Dan who commented on my video the other day, on my last live stream, saying that he felt that these live streams were kind of becoming part of the Sunday night culture. The fact that you watch Doctor Who, you wait a little while, then you come onto my live stream. That's exactly how I want them to be viewed. I want to become part of that Sunday night tradition. You watch Doctor Who, you decide what you think, and then you head over to the channel and you watch the live stream and give me your opinions. It's 33. We'll start as soon as I've drank this. Oh, right. Should we get into it then? We've got Marty, we've got Ewan, and we've got Dan so far. If you are new, you've just joined the live stream, feel free to comment, let me know that you're watching. Okay, right. Let's start, shall we? Let's make a start. So, Rosa. That is how you do a historical episode. That is how you do a historical episode. For me, that was the best episode of the series so far, in my opinion. Really was. I really liked the woman who fell to earth. Last week I feel was a bit hit and miss. There were elements of the Ghost Monument that were really well done. There were elements that weren't quite as well executed as they could have been. This episode was the best episode of Series 11 so far, I would say by quite a long way. The story was absolutely brilliant. The companions were absolutely brilliant. Every single one of them, including Yaz, which I know Yaz, and I agree with a lot of people, needed a bit of development. She really did. She struggled the past few episodes, especially last episode, where a lot of people were saying on Twitter where she didn't really have a lot to say. And after watching it back, I agree, she didn't. she absolutely earned her place in this episode, along with Ryan and along with Graham. All the companions were really, really great. I particularly loved how they all had specific jobs in the story. I knew going into it that it'd be interesting watching Graham with the bus. The fact that he was a bus driver back on Earth, or back home, I mean. So I thought that'd be interesting, and it really paid off. His knowledge about knowing that bus drivers all go to the same pub to have a drink and stuff like that, that was really, really good. Yaz's, the attention that she paid to the history lessons in class, I thought really, really paid off. The fact that she was kind of the one who knew a lot about the actual historical element, about the facts. And Ryan, the fact that he knew the significance of Rosa Parks, obviously, in relation to his nan, who obviously passed away in the first episode. The fact that she was a huge inspiration to his nan. I loved that. We've got a few more comments. Okay, a lot of you guys are agreeing. A lot of you guys are agreeing with what I'm saying. Marty, I loved that everyone had a part. The actress playing Rosa was so good. I know she was. I read in an early review that someone felt that they should get an American actress to play that part, because apparently the accent that she did wasn't very good. I did not notice anything at all. Maybe if you're American and you're watching it, you may have noticed it. I did not notice it at all. I thought she was very, very good actress. TARDIS Man, hey, so glad I didn't miss this one this time. I loved tonight's episode. So did I. Really, really impressed with tonight's episode. Stephanie Neuer, hopefully, I honestly don't know how to pronounce your last name. Hello, I'm in the US and haven't watched it yet, but I love watching your live stream about it. Hopefully, you don't mind me spoiling it before you watch the episode. If anything, it will get you really excited for tonight's episode, because it is really, really fantastic. BJL. Oh, Lobby Nanny, that episode. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Clarify what you're on about. I'm glad you guys, a lot of you guys seem to be agreeing with me. I think personally Ryan's moment was when he was in the room with Rosa Parks and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I thought that was brilliant. I really, really did. I'm gonna go into that in a minute. So I loved how they all had jobs. I know that a lot of people were very apprehensive before this episode, because it could have been very hit and miss. Hey Will Bevis. Will, you've seen Will in my vlogs before. He's commenting. I can't believe you're watching my live stream, Will. He's quoting Harry Potter, guys. Just make sure you abuse him in the comments. That's what I do whenever I see him. The sensitivity of the storyline. I know a lot of people were really worried about whether or not it would go too far, it would be too preachy, or whether it would not be realistic. They would kind of be too PC to the point where it wasn't historically accurate. I personally felt like they got the perfect balance. The fact that Ryan was abused right at the beginning of the episode, I thought that was perfect. I really thought it wasn't too far, but it was just the right amount, I thought, for me. The fact that they were sat in the bar and they were asked to leave, I thought that was great. I really quite felt... I felt quite on edge, actually, in that scene, when you could see everyone was starting to look over to them, and they were like, I can feel the room's going a bit quiet. I worried, actually, to be honest with you. Marty, that was amazing as well. You and Graham's face and reaction during the last bus scene had me in tears. I totally agree. And we'll talk about that in a minute, because you've completely reminded me of that. Stephanie, apparently I pronounced your last name perfectly. Thank God. I'm glad about that. Carry on watching. Marty, it was really tastefully done, James. I completely agree. Yeah, just to go off on a bit of a tangent, Graham's face and reaction during that last bus scene made it. It really, really did. I completely agree. And I'm going to be talking about that again in a minute. I completely agree that his face... Nobody can say that Bradley Walsh can't act. As well as that, the bit in the motel room where they were talking about Grace, and you could see Graham was getting quite teary. He was really, really great in that. I don't think anyone at this point can argue that Bradley Walsh can't act. So yeah, I thought the sensitivity was just right. Focus Who says that this should be shown in schools. I completely agree, actually. in one of the early reviews, I read that the reviewer actually said this could be shown in schools immediately. I completely agree. I was never taught about Rosa Parks in school. I know some people that I know were. Hannah was. I know that. I never was, and I knew a little bit about the story, but I didn't really know the full extent. I didn't know that Martin Luther King was alive at the same time as Rosa Parks. That was something that really surprised me. I thought it was really educational, but in a nice way. We've got a lot of comments. TARDIS man, I was close to breaking point when I saw the bus scene. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, I agree. Focus Who. The only meh thing was the villain, brackets sort of, and playing music over the end credits, but I don't mind. Ewan Ward, I was worried for this episode because I think that Doctor Who is about finding a middle point between the enemies and the protagonists, but this one, they could not do, but with this one, they could not do that whatsoever. TARDIS man, anyone else think the shot of the TARDIS in the alley shows how iconic the new exterior could be? I agree. That bit when the TARDIS first landed, I was smiling, and it's weird because obviously I've been watching it for years, but when that TARDIS first materialised in that alleyway, I really did think, wow, like it looks really, really good. And also the bit where the villain tried to shoot it, in that it was sort of like a diagonal shot, I thought was very good as well. Focus Who, fantastic episode, best of the series so far, completely agree. Ewan Ward, they nailed it so perfectly, I completely agree. Marty, I didn't expect Bradley to be that good in heavy scenes. To be honest, I knew he was in Law and Order UK, which Chris Chibnall wrote for, and I knew that lots of people said he was a very good actor. I never saw Law and Order UK, so I didn't know, I just trusted what everyone else said. But yeah, I completely agree. I didn't necessarily expect it. I hoped that he would be good, but he is very, very good. Even in those emotional scenes, I thought. So yeah, the sensitivity was just right. The pop music. Now, I read one of the early reviews earlier in the week, and it was saying about the fact that, I think it was in the 10 teasers, and one of the teasers was about pop music being played, and I thought, I'm not sure about this. I know what people thought about. I know what people thought about the trailer music. They didn't like the pop music and that. I thought the pop music worked really well. The only thing that I would say, I agree with, who was it who said it? Focus Who. I agree with you. I wasn't overly keen on the music being played over the credits, but I can get over that. The music, I think it was Alicia Cara, I think. I'll Rise Up. I thought that worked so well in that bus scene. I really, really did. Usually I'm not a huge fan. Sometimes I feel like it takes you out. It takes you out of the moment in TV and film when they have a pop song or a song that you know. I didn't think that at all in this. It really, really, really worked. And I honestly, I don't think that it was a bad choice at all. I think it was really, really good. And actually, the bit when Rosa was sat there, and the bus driver went out to the phone box and made the call to the police, and she was just sat there. She wasn't saying anything. That music was playing. I really, really thought it was good. It made me a bit emotional, to be honest. I really did feel the emotions of that scene. It really hit me. Just seeing Graham's face as well. I know we talked about Graham's face a minute ago, but Graham's face, he was so shocked, and they really didn't. The thing that really got me was the fact they really didn't want to be on that bus, especially Graham. He really did not want to be part of that part of history. Yaz was apprehensive, but I think she was quite amazed that they were going to be there. They were going to be there in that moment. I think Graham's face just said it all, really. That it gave me goosebumps. The way that Graham was, he really wanted to get off the bus, and that, I think, really says a lot about his character. He didn't want to be there. Hannah Derbyshire, hello Hannah. I personally didn't like the Rise Up music when she was arrested. Fair enough, Hannah. Whatever. Nobody cares. That's my girlfriend, by the way, everybody. I'm not just being mean. Okay. Another thing that I said, it felt like a David Tennant episode. It really did. It felt like, kind of like the Shakespeare Code a little bit. I got a few vibes of the Shakespeare Code. There was a little bit of Vincent and the Doctor in there as well. I realise that's not a Tennant episode, but I feel like it felt like a Tennant episode. I don't know why. It felt like a Tennant episode. The look on Jodie's face was so painful. She wants to save everyone, and she was in pain knowing that she couldn't stop them from doing those things to Rosa. I completely agree. I really do agree. She was sat there. Her face and Graham's face made it. I really did think. She was sat there and she was just trying not to even listen to it, I think. She just did not want to be part of that. And she knew that she couldn't help. That was the thing. That was the thing that kind of got me with the whole scene. She knew that she couldn't help, and Graham knew that he couldn't help. And they had to just stand there and watch, or sit there and watch. And I thought that was really, really powerful. Really, really good. And I mean, that is just drama. Really good drama. Marty thinks that 13... seems like a really empathetic Doctor. Yeah, I agree. She seems like a lot more down to earth and a lot more... she can sympathise with people a lot more. She understands emotions more than... Obviously, 12 was the complete opposite. He didn't really understand emotions at all. Yeah, I completely agree about that, actually. In fact, this is how good it was. My mate Josh messaged me straight after the episode saying how great of an episode it was. Normally I message my mates and I'm like, what do you think? Normally I don't get a message off them. Josh messaged me and said how great it was, and I messaged him back saying, I know, it was brilliant. It was really, really brilliant, and I honestly can't wait to watch it again. I really can't. Those are all the main good things that I wrote. Now, the only bad things I said was I wasn't keen on the pop music on the credits, which I've already said, which is a tiny, tiny thing. I know that's not a huge deal. And also, I didn't mind the villain, but I do see what people were saying in the early reviews about him not being overly threatening. I know what they mean. I feel like he did a good enough job for the episode. He was okay. It was interesting, I thought, the story. The fact that he was in Storm Cage, the little reference to River Song's prison there, I thought was interesting. But yeah, he was okay, but I get what people were saying about him not being as threatening as some of the monsters in Doctor Who have been in the past. Okay, now, highlights. What were my main highlights of this episode? There's a lot. I've got a lot of main highlights, and I'm sure this isn't everything, but I just kind of wrote the ones that immediately stuck into my head. I loved how it was their 9th try to get back to Sheffield. I know in those teasers, apparently there was a joke made about Jodie not being able to fly the TARDIS because she's a woman. That I didn't get that at all. It was a joke made by Graham, the fact that she couldn't fly the TARDIS. There was no reference to her being a woman in any way. So I don't quite know what... I think it was Doctor Who TV. I don't quite know what they were talking about there. I didn't think that was offensive at all. It just seemed like it was another joke about the Doctor not being able to fly the TARDIS. So I really liked how it was their 9th try. It would be very funny to see where else they ended up. But I really did think that that was funny. Motel scene. In fact, all the motel scenes. The initial one, particularly the one where the police officer came in, I thought was really, really good. It just felt dramatic. It felt like drama. In some of the Stephen Moffat era episodes, the drama didn't feel that dramatic because you always felt like there was going to be a joke or something coming up. There wasn't. It felt dramatic, especially that scene where the police officer was in the room and you knew that Yaz and Ryan were in the bathroom. I thought that was really, really, really dramatic, and I didn't know what would happen if he went into the bathroom. I thought all the motel scenes were really great. Them writing on the wall, I thought was great. I thought the fact that it was kind of like a base camp, I really, really liked that. I thought it was really, really great. All of the companions were a highlight for me. Every single thing that one of them did had a purpose behind it. It didn't feel forced. Let's just have a think what they did. Ryan following Rosa Parks and ending up meeting Martin Luther King in the room in that little meeting. That was really, really good. Really, really good. There was a bit when he goes, when he's like, sorry, Martin Luther King. Yes, Rosa Parks. And he just sort of smiled to himself. I thought that was really, really great and really accurate. that kind of suited his character, and that is how someone like Ryan would be, I think, in that situation. He was just having the time of his life. The fact that he was in the same room as Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, I thought that was really great. Yaz, with her historical knowledge, I thought was very good. In the library, doing the research, working out the facts. I thought particularly the scene where she was sat with Rosa and they were chatting whilst Rosa was fixing the doctor's coat. I thought was the scene that Yaz has been needing. A one-to-one scene with Yaz is exactly what she's needed. And something like that, I really felt that was great. We've got a few comments. Ewan Ward, in my opinion, 9, serious Doctor, 10, smart, inquisitive, witty Doctor, 11, quirky Doctor, 12, angry Doctor, 13, empathetic, curious Doctor. I agree. Marty, the dude playing the one cop, was really, really good as well. I completely agree. The Doctor is Banksy. I officially believe that now. That's Ewan. I completely agree. That Banksy, I think there were 2 Banksy lines, and they were really, really funny. I thought they were very, very good. I need to watch it again to know exactly what was said, but that was very good. Focus Who, the line, "Excuse me, Martin Luther King." Yes, Rosa Parks, had me dead. Yeah, that was very, very good. I thought there was just enough comedy in this episode. It obviously had very dark undertones, but the fact that there was a little bit of comedy here and there, I thought really worked well. Graham saying that he was Steve Jobs and basically making up the fact that they were going to invent the iPhone. That was very good as well. I thought those little bits of comedy just helped it from being too much of a dark, depressing episode, if that makes sense. The bar scene was another one of my highlights. Them sat in the bar and then told to leave. I thought that was very, very good. I thought the fact that the Doctor told Ryan and Yaz to go back to the TARDIS and they refused, I thought was very good. I thought the line where they said Rosa Parks has been putting up with this for her whole life. Why can't we put it up for a day? I thought that was really, really good. And that is how I think you would react if you were sort of a 19-year-old in that situation. It felt like a mission. That's what I really liked about it. It felt like everyone had a role, and it felt like a mission, and it felt like you were watching something, and it didn't feel too fast-paced, and it didn't feel too slow. It felt like they had a job to do, and it kind of gave the episode a beginning, a middle, and the end. The end you knew was going to be the bus boycott. The end, you knew that was going to be the end. The beginning I really liked. The middle was sort of just them focusing on keeping it on track. I really, really liked that. Dan says he's loving Bradley Walsh. Marty says, I thought they were going to turn down the racist language, but the BBC didn't. It was the right choice to show the ugly face of racism. I completely agree. I was a little bit worried that they would make it too PC. And the fact is that if you're going to do a historical episode in a time like that where racism was very prominent and very, very ugly, you have got to show that. The kids that don't know about that, who are watching, the whole point of the episode is to learn about why Rosa Parks was forced to do what she did. And I think they showed just enough of it for you to be able to grasp the concept, but not be too extreme. Marty, the balance this time was really good. Yeah, I completely agree. So yeah, it felt like a mission. I really, really loved it. It felt like they'd accomplished something at the end. They accomplished what they were there to do. Ewan Ward, with the villain, I have a theory that I'll now type. Okay, we'll wait for that, Ewan. We'll discuss that in a minute. The last main highlight I wanted to mention was the bus scene. I feel like we can really spend quite a few minutes on that bus scene because that, let's face it, is the most important part of this whole episode. For that bus scene, I really did feel on edge. I really did. When they weren't sure if enough people would fill it up. Obviously, you kind of knew in the back of your mind that it would happen. But I really didn't know for a second. Especially the bit where Jodie, where the Doctor was working out how many people were on the bus. And then she says to Graham, look, we can't get off. We've got to stay on. We've got to stay on. And Graham's face. And then they sit there. And they know what's going to happen. And then it does happen. And Graham's face and the Doctor's face, and they can't do anything, but they almost can't believe what they're hearing and what they're seeing, I thought was very, very powerful. It had no music, that bit, which I thought was a very good decision. I was on the edge of my seat, and I really felt, like I say, I didn't know a lot about the story. And this episode, it educated me. It really did educate me, and I know that they're looking at trying to educate people as well as entertain people, and I feel like it was just the right balance. I didn't feel like it was forced down my throat. I felt as though I was learning, and I felt as though it was a fun way of learning, and I completely agree with whoever commented a minute ago saying that you could imagine it being shown in schools. I completely agree. That scene with the bus, I personally think has the potential to go down as one of the most famous scenes, like the one in Vincent and the Doctor, where Vincent van Gogh realises how much of an important thing his life becomes after he dies. I really feel like that scene has the potential for that, especially the bit where the music starts playing. I don't think that the music was out of place at all. It really, really worked for me personally. Hannah, did you think the fact that there weren't any monsters in this episode... did you like the fact that there weren't any monsters? It worked, I thought. I didn't feel like it was missing a monster. Obviously, the villain was the time agent. I thought it was believable. He didn't show a major threat, but I don't think he really needed to. He was just a meddler, really, wasn't he? And that's kind of... I feel like it did the job at the end of the day. I think everything else made up for it. Ewan, when Ryan shot him with the time displacement device, I believe he accidentally set it wrong, and he may have sent him alive to a time period we know, for instance, the 90s or maybe even 2018. That could be very interesting if he ends up coming back, maybe for the finale or something like that. If Ryan actually sends him into 2018 by mistake, that could be really interesting, leaving potential for his return, maybe. I completely agree, Ewan. Dan, loved that scene in Vincent and the Doctor. I completely agree. That scene in the art gallery in Vincent and the Doctor is one of the best scenes of Doctor Who. Undoubtedly one of the best scenes, and I hope, obviously I've only watched the episode once, but I hope and I do think that this scene, the scene on the bus, has the potential to go as far as that. I really did feel the emotion of that scene and the drama, and it just felt important. It didn't feel silly like Doctor Who sometimes can. It felt like you could have switched that on and been really drawn into that as a non-fan. And I feel like that was one of the great things about the episode. So, to sum up, unless you've got some comments for me and questions in the comments, to sum up, the episode was brilliant. Really, really great. Best episode of Series 11, hands down. Possibly one of the best episodes of New Who, quite possibly. A real return to form, I felt. I was a big fan of the David Tennant era and some of the historicals, such as the Shakespeare Code in that era, and this felt like a return to form for historicals. I don't think it's any secret that during the Moffat era, historicals were kind of put on the backbench, I felt. There weren't any brilliant historics other than Vincent and the Doctor, and this one I felt was as good as Vincent and the Doctor. And that is a huge compliment to pay the episode, because Vincent and the Doctor is one of the best episodes of Doctor Who. Marty, the Doctor explaining the rest of history was really nice as well. Change the universe speak. Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. It kind of reminded me of some of the episodes, like the end of the Agatha Christie episode, where David Tennant adds a bit of context to what happens to Agatha Christie after the events of the episode. I completely agree. Ewan, I agree. The ending with the asteroid named Rosa Parks was just a perfect conclusion. I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that asteroid at the end. I agree. That was a really, really nice ending. Them all stood in the TARDIS and the Doctor explaining everything. Did you see the tweet from the Doctor's from David's wife, James? No, I didn't. I haven't gone on Twitter ever since the episode. I always try to avoid social media straight after the episode, but before the live stream, because I like to give my fresh opinions on it. So if you want to comment down below, let me know. Do you mean the woman who played Jenny? I can't think what her name is now, but is it? I'm assuming that's who you mean by David's wife. Comment down below. Let me know what she tweeted. Yeah, I felt like it was the best historical since Vincent and the Doctor. Definitely. Doctor Who is back. Feels like return to form. It feels like we're finally getting Doctor Who in the mainstream media again, and I really, really hope that the ratings are as high as they were last week, because in my opinion, last week was okay, but it could have been a hell of a lot better. If this was episode 2, I think this would have been brilliant for the audience figures. You have to look it up, it's really funny. Okay, I'll look it up after the live stream then. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed the episode. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. That's all the comments I've got about it. It was brilliant. Really, really brilliant. And I cannot wait to watch it again. Next week, someone commented. Who commented at the beginning asking me about next week? I think it was Focus Who. Focus Who. Next week's episode. Thoughts. Next week looks very good. Next week is the episode that me, Hannah, Will and Jamie watched in Sheffield in February this year. It was really, it was good watching it. That first part of the Next Time trailer where Yaz is sticking her head out the door and she's like, "Oh my god, we're home." We were there. We were there. That was just before we arrived. And that was Park Hill Flats behind. If you're interested in looking at Park Hill Flats before next episode, I've got the main video that was I Met Jodie Whittaker. Feel free to go watch that. That's on my channel. I've also got a vlog that I did that is called I Met Jodie Whittaker Here, I think, which was part of Almost Daily Vlogs at the start of this summer when me and Hannah went to Park Hill Flats again to visit it. Feel free to watch those before next episode because that was really interesting. That was where we watched it. I can't wait to see the episode that we watched being filmed. If you want to hear anything before next week that will be included in the episode, watch my original video, I Met Jodie Whittaker and Series 11 filming, because some of that stuff will probably fall into context now. Ewan Ward, I think the main problem was that Chibnall got used to using the hour and a half for The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and now is filming too much and having to cut crucial parts. Possibly. Here is the tweet. Okay, Marty, what's the tweet? My daughter hasn't cried this much at Doctor Who since she watched her father turn into Prince Philip. Huh. That is really, really interesting. I hope a lot of kids really enjoyed it. That's going to be really interesting to hear what people think. I hope that the ratings were high again. The episode deserves it, quite frankly. And if they don't, if they're not as high, hopefully the way that people have reacted to it, if everyone has reacted to it as positively as you guys have, hopefully people will start watching it on BBC iPlayer over the course of this week. That is everything I have to say. I hope you really enjoyed watching this live stream. I really enjoyed doing this. I'm having so much fun live streaming every week, and the time just flies by. We've already been live streaming for half an hour, which is crazy. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be here, assuming that the episode is at the same time next week. I will be here at 8:30 next week. If you want to make sure what time I'll be live streaming, then follow me on Twitter. My link for my Twitter is in the description. My link for my Snapchat is also in the description in case you wanted to add me on that. And I will speak to you next week, next Sunday, for the next episode. Anakids in the UK. I think that's how it goes. I'll speak to you then. Thanks for watching, everybody. Goodbye.